So in front of me here, I have one of the least popular models that Great Eastern Cutlery ever did, along with the 38s and the 12s. Um, this is the 97, the large Coke bottle. This one's the beaver tail one, which was, I think, probably the most popular version of this knife. Um, but anyway, I just want to talk about the fact that you pretty much can't get Great Eastern Cutlery knives right now, like at all, because they all sell out immediately. And even the dealers that had a back stock of like these 97s and the 12s and the 38s and everything, the 15s with the bales and chains, all the knives that seemingly nobody wanted, um, they're all sold out pretty much. So you can't get them from dealers anymore. And I think the reasoning for that is because people are buying them immediately or buying them when they're sitting on dealers' websites now, and then they're selling them for, or trying to sell them for, like three times as much as they paid for them on eBay. Of course, we saw this with the 15s. I paid way too much for a TC Barlow, and some people paid a lot for that Cocobolo Boys knife, I would assume. I managed to get an Urban Jack from a dealer, which was cool. But now we're seeing it with the 85s. The 85s, people are trying to sell them for $300+ on eBay. And I'm sure we're going to see it with the 38 whittlers too. Um, so Great Eastern Cutlery knives, awesome knives, really well made. Pretty much impossible to get right now unless you want to spend your whole day refreshing a page on a dealer website like DLT or GP Knives, or, well, this guy does raffles for them. So if you really want one, you can try to enter like a raffle for traditional pocket knives, try to win one. Then, of course, you still have to pay for it. You just win the opportunity to buy one. Um, I'm not really sure what the best way to do that is. I think that his model is a interesting one. Um, but pretty much, it's really hard to get a Great Eastern Cutlery knife these days. And I kind of just want to talk about the fact that, like, there are other knives out there that are pretty well made and everything, that you can spend a lot less than what you would spend on secondary market prices for a Great Eastern Cutlery knife. And I think here, for a little bit, I'm gonna kind of step away from Great Eastern Cutlery for a little bit. I really love their knives. It's just become such a headache trying to get them, and then thinking about whether or not you want to pay those ridiculous secondary market prices. So I think for right now, I'm gonna step away for a little bit, and we'll see what comes after the 38s, 38 whittlers. I think after the 38 whittlers, they're gonna do fixed blades. Um, which probably won't sell out like crazy, but maybe they will. I don't know. But I might try to get one of those because, I don't have a fixed blade knife from Great Eastern Cutlery yet. But anyway, some knives other than, Great Eastern Cutlery. Of course, case is like the, thing that your mind first goes to probably. Uh, these are kind of, cheaper knife. These are like usually $50, $60. I think this one was 60 or maybe even 70. I don't really remember. It's like, somewhere like 50 to like $70 are where 90% of case knives fall. And then, of course, you have cheaper ones like the sod busters and stuff, or if you want like synthetic handle material. But this is like my favorite case knife right now. This Bone Stag Copperhead here. The Copperhead's there. 2021 Volt knife. This cool clip point blade, and then it's got a pen blade here. Did a video on this particular knife. This one's put together really well. And that's the thing with case. If you can get a case that's put together really well, this one does have a gap, but that's not a big deal. If you can get a case knife that's put together really well, it is a knife that is well worth the money. And, a good option for a cheaper knife that isn't going to cost anywhere near what Great Eastern Cutlery knives cost. And it'll be a lot easier to get because people aren't selling these for three times their value on eBay. Um, but yeah, so if you can go to like a dealer and specifically get your hands on one and look at it, which I don't do, I just try to get lucky. I got lucky with this one. I've not got lucky with other knives. Um, but if you get the chance to go to a dealer and actually, look at the knife in person, that's going to be your best bet for getting a good case knife. Um, but yeah, so case is like, you know, a cheaper option that's really good. Another cheaper option, uh, these Ottermesser knives. This is an Ottermesser Anchor Messer. And actually, what I am carrying today because it's raining and I thought it was appropriate. Um, these are well made. Action on the knife is pretty good. It really snaps open. And this is kind of like a sway back frame with a sheep's foot blade. I think originally designed to like cut rope on ships. I think that's the idea behind it. But Ottermesser makes some other knives, and I'm thinking about ordering another one of their knives, the three rivet knife that they make. Um, Messer HQ did a video on that knife like 2 years ago, and I'm thinking I might get one of those. This knife you can get that. Well, there's people selling them on eBay for like $55, something like that, for one of these, and it's well worth it. It's put together really well. They don't really offer any kind of like jig bone covers or anything. It's pretty much always wood. They do have I think they call it a safety knife or something, which is like a locking folder, and they have one of those with like a stag handle, which is really cool looking. But most of their knives are with wooden covers. Um, but it's well made. It's made in Germany, so it's not American made like the Great Eastern Cutlery or the case knife, which are both made right here in Pennsylvania. But yeah, this is made in Solingen, Germany, which is like one of the old world cutlery cities, pretty much. Solingen, Germany, and Sheffield, England. And then, going back to America here, you can't really buy these new. Um, traditionalpocketknives.com. He still does have some Shat and Morgan knives, and this is where I got this one, but he doesn't have this one anymore. But he does still have some Shat and Morgan knives. But even on the secondary market on eBay, like Shat and Morgan knives and Queen knives, you can usually get for a lot less than a Great Eastern Cutlery knife. And for the most part, I think a lot of them are put together pretty well as long as you get ones before the DFC era, the Daniels Family Cutlery era. Um, but yeah, so this is another option, another pretty well made knife. I don't know if Shat and Morgan ever really offered the knives with carbon steel. Most of the ones, I think all of the ones that traditional pocket knives was selling were stainless. So it's kind of a bummer for me because I like carbon steel, but some people really do prefer stainless. Another option coming from Germany again, although not nearly as inexpensive as Otter, is these Boker knives. The more higher end Boker knives are made in Solingen, Germany, and this one's a Boker Barlow. Again, it seems like most of what they offer is wood handles, although you can get other handles like micarta, and I think there are some bone handle Boker knives still out there. I know Smoky Mountain Knife Works has a trapper with a pretty cool bone handle on it. Um, but this one has carbon steel blades. It's got this like reverse etch on it, which kind of makes the patina look weird, my opinion. But this is a pretty well made knife. Seems to be put together pretty well and everything. If you're somebody who gets bent out of shape with centering, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. But overall, just a nice little knife here. The main problem with Boker is how expensive they are. I have been looking at a Boker club knife, and that's like a $200+ knife. And it's like, yeah, I'm not really willing to pay that right now. So this knife right here was $120, which is a lot for what it is. But it's pretty well made, and you kind of have to decide for yourself if it's worth that money or not. But yeah, so that's Boker. Another version of a knife that you can probably get on eBay for, 50, $60. These Remington knives, a lot of them are the Remington bullet knives and stuff. The older versions of these, like, that were made in like the 80s, the 90s, and the very early 2000s were made by Camillus and were put together pretty well. This is my Remington Musket 1 Daddy or Granddaddy Barlow. And like I said, these were made by Camillus. Blades are stainless steel. Knives put together pretty well. It's still got some gaps and stuff. It's not really the end of the world for something like this. I do love the jigging on this knife. I think this is probably one of my favorite jig bone covers, just because of how good it looks. Um, but yeah, so that's another option. You can get one of these older Remington like bullet knives, or one of these Musket 1 Daddy or Granddaddy Barlows. They had this jig bone, and then they had a saw cut Delrin. I have them both. I like the jig bone one more, but that's just my opinion. Just another option, less expensive, that you can get on eBay. A knife that is pretty much around the same price as what you're going to pay on dealers' websites these days for most Great Eastern Cutlery knives are these Lion Steel collector knives, exclusive knives. I forget exactly what the model number is on these, but it's like a modern Barlow. This one's the Warhorse, meaning it's got two full size blades. It's got a Warncliffe and a clip point. They do make single blade versions of these, and they are less expensive than the Warhorse. I think the Warhorse is like $140, and most of the single blade versions are around 120 or so. They come in different handle materials. This one's natural canvas micarta is what this one is. He was offering them in G10. There was a ram's horn version. There was a couple different wood versions, and these are made by Lion Steel over in Italy, and they're very well made. And I have thought about picking up a single blade version of this knife, but get a different blade shape, because they offer the Warhorse here, which is a two-bladed one. They offer the Shuffler, which is a single-bladed clip point, the Dom, which is a single-bladed sheep's foot one, and then the Roundhead, which is a single-bladed spear point blade. And I have thought about getting another one of these, but getting a single blade spear point blade, the Roundhead. But I haven't really just decided to do that or not yet. But these are really well made knives. The blades are in M390 steel, so it's really high end steel, unlike what you get with Great Eastern Cutlery or Case, or really any of the other knives that I showed, which are either a basic carbon or a basic stainless. This is a really high end steel that'll hold an edge for a very long time. I was really impressed with this knife. I like it a lot. I don't carry it enough, I don't think, although I do occasionally throw it in my pocket and carry it and use it and everything. Um, but this is a really good option if you're into like modern slip joint knives, or if you want to try out slip joint knives, or if you're just wanting to try something new and you're getting tired of the Great Eastern Cutlery secondary market. But yeah, these are great, and you can only get these at Collector Knives, by the way. There is a another, is it called the Best Man? I don't remember. There's another like Lion Steel slip joint thing that you can get everywhere, and it's got like two fake bolsters on it. You can get it either a two blade or a single blade. That's another good option, but I don't have one of those. And then your other options are, this is just going to be like miscellaneous, like vintage knives. This is a Winchester Sunfish from the Cartridge series, which I believe is a series that Winchester contracted some other company, which then contracted Queen. So this is actually a knife made by Queen. Um, you know, and it's got 1095 carbon steel blades, I believe. And it's put together pretty well. The blade does rub the liner, but with this being a single backspring sunfish, that's not really that big of a deal. As far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much expected from that. But this knife's done really well. And if you can get something like this from the Winchester cartridge series, or any of these older, like vintage knives that were made by Queen or somebody, they're a lot less expensive than Great Eastern Cutlery knives. And a lot of the times they're put together pretty much just as well and certainly better than most case knives. But anyway, I just wanted to do this video here just to kind of give you some more options for, decently made pocket knives in the traditional sense, because that's usually what I like to buy. I haven't bought a modern knife in a while, like a modern locking folder. I've been buying a lot of slip joint knives because that's what I'm really into these days. These are just some options. There are other options out there. Of course, if you're looking to spend a lot less money, there are options that are made in China, like Rough Rider, the Imperial, Charade, old timer stuff, which is okay. It's not great or anything, but it's okay. Um, Between them and Rough Rider, I think I'd rather buy one from Rough Rider because I've had I've had bad experiences with both, and I think I honestly have more bad experiences with Rough Rider, but their knives are like they offer a lot more. Like they offer like jig bone handles and everything with Rough Rider. Um, so I put that in the that's not an option. That's a Great Eastern Cutlery knife. But yeah, just wanted to put out some options there for stuff other than Great Eastern Cutlery that is well made and that you can get at reasonable prices. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I still love Great Eastern Cutlery. I just don't like the people that seemingly buy them all and then try to sell them for 3 times their value on eBay. Those people have kind of ruined the hobby for a lot of us, I think. Certainly for me, the only like knife that I was really willing to pay all that money for was the TC Barlow, and I kind of regret that a little bit too. But it's already done, and I got it, and it was one of my grail knives, so I really did want to get one. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, and I hope you guys have a good day.